Good afternoon, RGEA members and guests. Welcome to today's webinar, RGEA exclusive, New Healthcare Options for Those Under 65, presented by Luke Eckley and Jared Boyett. I am Daryl Davis Fulmer and excited to serve as your host today. Tim O'Connell, RGEA's Executive Director, is joining me today as well. I also want to thank Tracy Eubanks for her technical support. Luke Eckley is the Chief Revenue Officer at Apollo Health Insurance, where he has led revenue growth and strategy for the past 5 years. Being part of the family that built Apollo, Luke is dedicated to continuing its of simplifying health insurance for clients and associations in a constantly shifting landscape. Jared Boyett is a managing partner at Apollo Health Insurance, where he has spent the past 7 years helping individuals, families, and business owners find the right coverage for their needs. With a background rooted in sales and client relationships, he specializes in making health insurance options clear and accessible. Jared and Luke will be presenting today in a coordinated effort. And so we are looking forward to their presentation this afternoon. Before we get started, though, here are a few things you should know. Each of you has been muted to help ensure the presenters can be heard. This presentation is being recorded. We will send you the link to the recording along with the PowerPoint or the presentation in our follow-up email. For those of you who sent questions, we submitted them to Luke and Jared, and many have been incorporated into their discussion today. Along the way, Luke may be answering questions as well. If you think of a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A. The button is at the bottom of the Zoom page. As of right now, I'd like to introduce you to our Director, Tim O'Connell.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. It is so
You're
good to be with
welcome.
you all today. I want to begin like I always do and thank you for your membership. It makes such a difference in so many ways. The biggest difference is when we are advocating to preserve and protect your benefits. When we go in and tell folks the number of members we have, that's our collateral when we go in the room. We do not have a PAC. We do not have money to give to special interests to try to get into a room or office or have a conversation, but we do have the numbers and we need to keep those numbers. So please keep your membership going and encourage any of your other colleagues from the past or current to consider joining RGA. It makes a difference. It really does. And I'm honored to represent you all. It's just a true pleasure of mine. I come to work knowing that we are fighting the good fight for the good people, and it's my pleasure to do it. I do want to thank Luke and Jared for being with us today. A lot of topsy-turvy going on in the healthcare space right now. If you're one of those folks impacted, I understand. I was out there purchasing my health insurance like other folks, and I've actually just started to work with Apollo myself, and they came up with a good solution for me. Possibly that may be the case for you, and if so, we're glad to have Apollo as a partner here. A couple more things I want to share with you what's kind of going on. If you keep up with our news from Jones Street, done by our Director of Government Relations, Jackson Kozort, you know that the legislature has dismissed for the year at this point, and they have not finalized the budget. First time in the history of that. Not really the history that any of us wanted them to make, nor I believe that they wanted to make, but they are going into the books as being the first legislature to not pass a budget in the history of North Carolina. There's been other times where a budget did not pass. That may have been from a governor veto, but this is the first time a legislature hasn't delivered a budget. So the impact of that is right now we are working off the 2023 budget. Salaries for active are being held. There's no increases for retirees. The House budget did have a pension supplement in it that is not moving anywhere right now. And then there's lots of projects that were underway, capital projects, buildings being built. Those are going to come to a screeching halt because the budget's not going forward. So If you have a connection with a legislator, we have on our website how you can contact them. I encourage you to do that. Just let's I like to use the term lift them up. Let's lift them up and let's get them to get that budget done. Um, the last thing I want to share with you is about what's going on right now um, at the trustees meeting. That was on October 30th, especially for local government. The pension variables are being reviewed. We are still in dialogue with the treasurer and his staff around that, and we are going to be providing some more information on that. But we're doing some follow-up from that meeting that was held on October 30th, and we'll keep you posted on that as well. So there's some good changes that can come from adjustments in the pension variables, and we're hoping to have some continued good conversation with the treasurer staff around that. Final thing, and I should say final, this is just, it's that time of year, but we have the benefit with Passport Savings. If you haven't used that, I'm making some family plans to visit some family. And family and fish go bad after about 7 days. So I'm going to stay with some family for a couple days, and I was going to get a hotel in between a couple of families for a couple days. I went on to Passport, and I was going to save at least $50 a night over the best price I could get on those plans. So look at the Passport savings. We're going to the holidays and all that, and I'm just sharing some personal, but you can save some money using that Passport app. So before you make a purchase or travel, go ahead and use that Passport app as well. So without further ado, I want to thank Jared and Luke again for being with us, and thank you for being a member of RGEA.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim, for all those messages. Very important. And we kind of count on you for that, Tim. So thanks so much.
No, you're welcome.
Jared and Luke, you ready?
Yes,
Take
ma'am.
it away. All
Ready.
right.
Awesome.
It's
Well,
all yours.
Daryl, thank you for the introduction. Tim, thank you as well for the introduction. And yeah, Luke and I are super excited to be with everybody here today. I know everybody is just so excited to talk to Luke and I for an hour about insurance. This is exactly what you want to be doing at 12:37 on a Wednesday. This is like what you've been looking forward to for the last month, right? Is this webinar. I fully realize that is not the case, but Luke and I are honored that you would spend the next 40 or so minutes with us. We're really excited. And yeah, like Daryl said, in the Q&A, as we're going through, please ask any question that comes up. You all have submitted a lot of questions so far. I've built a lot of that into what we're going to talk about today. But obviously, as I go through, there's going to be more and more questions. We'll have some time at the end for Q&A, but even as questions arise, don't wait. Luke will be in the chat the entire time answering all those questions, and then any other questions that he feels like we should talk about publicly, he'll unmute himself, kind of hop in, and we'll go down there. And so, just really excited to be here today. My number one goal and objective is not to give you all just so much information that it confuses you, or it's like, whoa, this is way too much stuff. My number one objective is to just show some of the products that exist out there. You have more options than you think, and some of the profiles of the people that we help. Who are people that talk to Apollo every single day, and why or how could that be me? And so that's my objective. If we don't get all the way through all of the content here on my slides, I'm not going to lose any sleep. That's not my goal, is to fire through all of this. Really, my goal is to communicate to you all, hey, there's different options out there than what you may have heard of in the past. And there's different profiles of people that we're working with every single day, just like Tim mentioned, and helping make decisions on health insurance. And so with that being said, we will hop right in here and talk about all the benefits that we offer at Apollo for RGEA members, right? This is exclusive to you all. And so it's just really cool to be able to be here today. Let's talk a little bit about who Apollo is really fast. We're a family-owned health insurance brokerage, and that's really important in a lot of aspects. Luke's family is right there. That's his dad, Scott, his mom, Barb, his brother, Mark, and then Luke. It's family-owned business. All four of them are heavily involved in our business. It was started in 2010 by Luke's dad, Scott. He owned an executive search firm company before that, and Scott had to purchase health insurance for his company, or for his employees at his company. And Scott is famous around the office for saying the only thing that can make Scott feel and act like a 3-year-old, both emotionally, mentally, and physically, is the topic of health insurance. He said he would have brokers come in all the time, try to sell them a different health insurance plan for his business, and he would ask them questions like, well, what happens if one of my employees' children needs to go to the ER, or what happens if they get this diagnosis, or how much are they going to pay at the doctor? And every answer was, well, it depends. Well, it depends. It kind of depends. And over and over and over, all he ever heard was, it really just depends, which was really the broker saying, we don't really want to get into the weeds of all that. We don't really know. We're just here to kind of write a plan and move on. And so when that business in the recession of 2008, it was time for that business to be sunsetted. Scott started to look at other avenues to be able to provide for his family, and he somehow hopped into health insurance, the number one thing that scared the living daylights out of him. He got into it. And so we started this business in 2010, and we've grown it the last 15 years. And we help individuals, families, and businesses make decisions on their health insurance. And that's what we focus on. 100% of our effort is health insurance. We really are a health insurance expert and wizard. That's what we do. We focus all of our time in the health insurance space, and primarily in the under 65 space for people who are retired or self-employed or anything like that. And so that's why I'm really excited to be able to talk to all of you all today, because you guys fit right in that mold, right in the sweet spot of what Apollo exists to do, is all of you all of you attendees and members of RGEA. That's why we have a relationship like this with RGEA, because this really is our sweet spot. The last thing I want to hit here on this slide that's important is that we are not an insurance carrier. We are not Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We are not United Healthcare. We are not Aetna. We're a true health insurance brokerage. We have contracts with every single health insurance carrier in the entire country to be able to look at every single rate and option and plan available in whatever zip code you all live in. Obviously, you all are in North Carolina. We're licensed all over the place. We have a license in every single state. And what we do every single day is we have conversations with people, tell them this is what this plan costs in this state, and this plan, and this plan. Nobody wants to call United Healthcare and then call Blue Cross and then call Cigna and then call Aetna to get 4 different rates. Now you got to make 4 different phone calls. And so that's what we do. You have a conversation with us, with one of our advisors. We can look at all of the options available to you in your zip code, have a consultative discussion, and just walk you through what your options are. And so that's really what we do. And we build that around this white glove service of, hey, we're not here, just like the old brokers who used to do business with Scott. We're not here just to put you in a plan, never talk to you again until it's renewal time. We really want to service you all and have a relationship with all of our clients for the entire year. We want to be your go-to health insurance person. The last thing that we want is for you to have a health insurance question and for you to call your carrier, for you to call Blue Cross and Blue Shield, for you to call United Healthcare. That's the last thing that we want. Make us your go-to first. Come to us first and have us solve that issue for you. Have us solve that headache for you. Have us answer that question for you. Whatever it is in regards to your health insurance, we really are built on this white glove service. And so because of that, we have a full customer service staff. We have a full claims team that will help file any claims if a carrier doesn't receive it the right way or anything like that. And so that's really who we are. That's the heartbeat of Apollo. Our mission statement is to positively impact people's lives. And we view that we get the opportunity to do that through the medium of health insurance, which is a pretty frustrating medium, right? And so that's who we are. And why we exist is because there is a massive problem right now in healthcare. If you have turned on the TV just in the last week, you have probably seen all kinds of outrage about some of the things going on right now in health insurance, typically around the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, Obamacare, the marketplace. It's all the same thing. Everybody's talking about the same thing whenever they use any of those words. And I'm going to talk about the Affordable Care Act here in a second. We write all Affordable Care Act plans. We help people with those. There's other options as well. We know a lot about it. But there has been some recent outrage in the last week as prices for 2026 came out a week ago today. And so usually they come out a lot earlier than that. I think the carriers were terrified for people to see these prices. The enhanced subsidies have been put to bed so far. The government is shut down. I mean, if you just turn on the TV, you would think that the health insurance world is ending, right? It is the black plague out there in health insurance. And it's because there really is a problem, right? I mean, deductibles just keep going up and up and up and up. I'm sure everybody on this call today, if you've already received your renewal from your current health insurance carrier, you're probably thinking, wow, my deductible went up again. That's 100 years in a row that my deductible has gone up, right? Or the limited network, right? We've seen an issue with that doctors more and more are going away from accepting and taking health insurance or specific types of health insurance. How do I get access to a PPO network that providers are actually going to take and bill? I want to be able to keep my doctors, but my plan just keeps getting skinnier. I just keep getting a letter in the mail every year that says that my doctor no longer takes my insurance. That's a problem. Or just carrier changes in general. There is probably at least one person on this plan or on this webinar who got a letter in the last week from Aetna CVS. Aetna CVS announced earlier this year, and now they're starting to put it into play, that starting January 1st, 2026, they will no longer offer individual health insurance plans. They are completely pulling out of the market. There's 1 million Americans enrolled with Aetna CVS as their health insurance carrier that are on an individual plan, not offered through an employer. They are sending out 1 million letters right now that is saying, we are no longer going to cover you in 2026. You need to go find a new option. You need to go find a new carrier. It is not going to be us in 2026. That's a big problem. People establish care, people get in routines, they're used to having Aetna. The automatic payment is set up, they have their ID card. I mean, that's a big problem. There's a reason that these carriers are pulling out of the markets. They don't want to offer a plan anymore. And it's because it's really expensive for everybody. And so that's really why Apollo exists, is that there's problems out there in the healthcare space. I don't think me telling you that is going to be the first time that you've either experienced that or heard that. You all on here, you know that. You know that the healthcare system in America is broken. And because that problem exists, we also exist. And so we get to help people wade through this confusing industry of health insurance and help them make the decision just a little more simple and also, hopefully, more affordable. So that's what we are trying to do. So let's go into some products here. Let's talk a little bit about how individual health insurance works. So really, what this webinar is for the ideal Apollo member, which is I'm under 65, maybe I've retired early, I don't have insurance through my job anymore, maybe I'm self-employed, maybe my wife saw this question, my wife or my husband, hey, I'm on Medicare, but my wife is 61, my husband is 62. That's exactly why we're doing this webinar, is for people like that. And so for every single person who is under 65 and does not get insurance provided to them through their employer or through state Medicaid, and they're not old enough for Medicare yet, there are 3 different buckets of insurance that you can go shop, that you can go purchase, that you can go look at. Bucket number 1 is the Affordable Care Act, the ACA. And I have a lot of info coming up soon on that one, so I'll save that for then. Bucket number 2 is short-term medical, STM is what that says, short-term medical, or a health sharing ministry. And then bucket number 3 is a specific association-based membership plan, which all of you, as a member of RGEA, have access to. If you're not a member of a approved association, you don't have access to it, but since you all are members of RGEA, this is an option for you. Any of these options can be discussed or looked at for any single person on this webinar. All of our advisors are walking people through the 3 buckets of insurance all day long. And so what I want to do is I want to get a little bit into the nitty-gritty on every single bucket, not too deep, not to confuse everybody, but just a little bit into the nitty gritty. And then I want to talk about maybe some profiles of people that we help. And then I want to talk through some examples. So here's bucket number one. This is the Affordable Care Act, the ACA. There were a lot of questions submitted from the registrants about, hey, does this insurance take pre-existing conditions? What if I have this condition, that condition? That's exactly what the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA, was built for. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, ACA, all of those plans are guaranteed issue. They cover 100% of pre-existing conditions, no matter what it is. It does not matter if you currently have cancer, if you have a kidney disease, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It does not matter what the pre-existing condition is. The purpose of the Affordable Care Act is to cover all pre-existing conditions 100% with no waiting period. That's the exact purpose of the Affordable Care Act. The other main purpose of the Affordable Care Act is to make health insurance more affordable based on the taxable income and the taxable status of that household. And so the way that the premiums work is that it's based on your taxable income for 2026. And so for anybody who's looking for a health insurance plan, and we start to go down the rabbit trail and looking through plans and the Affordable Care Act comes up, we're going to start to ask, hey, what do you think? What's your estimated household income in 2026? And the reason that we're asking that is not because we're nosy. It's because based off of the taxable income, you might be able to qualify for what is called APTC, Advanced Premium Tax Credits, or subsidy, that will help bring your premium cost down. It will help lower your cost of your health insurance plan every single month. You can take advantage of some advanced premium tax credits. It's all based on your taxable income, how many people are in the tax household, right? Is it just you and a spouse, you and some children, things like that, based on your zip code. So subsidy limits is different based on specific counties. All of those things go into play. But the way that it practically works is if you make 25 or 30 or 35 or $40,000 a year, you're a single person, and your health insurance plan is supposed to cost $500. Well, because you're taking your income into play, the Affordable Care Act is going to make that plan, instead of $500 a month, $200 a month, or maybe $150 a month, or $118 a month. It really depends on the specifics of your income and where you live. But then instead of paying that full $500 premium, you are only responsible for the $118 or the $150. And so it really is a really important question for our advisors to have a grasp on and to know, so that if there's extra savings out there available for you on the ACA, we want to take advantage of that. If you can take advantage of the tax credits, if you can get access to the tax credits, we want to make sure that you all are able to do that. And so those are really the two most important things to know about the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA. Number one, it's guaranteed issue. It covers all pre-existing conditions. And number two, it is based on the taxable income. Some carriers or types or names that offer plans like this are Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, United Healthcare, Ambetter, Cigna. All of these big name carriers typically offer ACA or Affordable Care Act plans. It just kind of depends on which zip code you live in. And then deductibles or out of pockets or co-pays. There's all different types of plans that you can choose from. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. We live in a suburb right outside of it. In our zip code alone, on the Affordable Care Act, there's over 100 different options that we could choose from. So I know some of the questions that were submitted to us were, hey, what's the deductible on the plans that Apollo offers? What are the co-pays? And the answer is that, well, it just depends on which one's the best fit for you. If you'd like a lower deductible on the Affordable Care Act, you can take a $1,000 deductible or a $500 deductible. If you want a higher deductible, like maybe $5,000 or $7,000, they have those as well. So it really is very customizable to each specific person, how you use insurance, how often you go to the doctor, any surgeries or hospitalizations you have planned, those kinds of things. And that's going to be part of the process that our advisors are going to go through in a conversation with you all. So that's bucket number one, the Affordable Care Act. Here's bucket number two. This one is short-term medical and health sharing plans. These two are both medically underwritten, so it is completely different than the Affordable Care Act. They are going to ask you health questions, and they're going to ask you questions like, do you currently have cancer? Have you had cancer in the past? Any heart attack, stroke, things like that. And so, whereas the first bucket covers all pre-existing conditions, the second bucket does not. They do not cover all pre-existing conditions. They're medically underwritten. People have to qualify to be able to get access to the plans. Now, the best part about this bucket right here, these short-term medical and health shares, is that they have a PPO network. And so when we were talking about earlier about limited or skinnier networks, these plans offer the largest network of doctors in the country. And so if you ever needed to go to MD Anderson or Mayo Clinic or anything like that, this would be the type of plan that would allow you to travel all around the country to be able to get care. That's really the important part to know about a PPO. Okay. And then also, if you are not qualifying for subsidy or advanced premium tax credits, these plans are going to be your most affordable option. Whenever we look at bucket number one, the Affordable Care Act, it's a really good option for people who do qualify income wise for subsidy. If you don't, and if your income is above that threshold, above that number, then those plans can be really expensive. And this option, these buckets, is where you can see some real savings on cost for premiums and deductibles. And so the important thing to know here is that you do have to qualify medically. Whenever our advisors are going through a conversation, whenever they're having a consultative approach, they're having a meeting with you, they're going to ask some health questions. How do you use insurance? Any history of cancer, heart attack, stroke. The reason why is they're trying to see, okay, could we qualify for a plan like this? Do we qualify medically? And right now, there's about 5 million Americans that are enrolled in these types of plans who qualify medically, probably make too much money to qualify for any subsidy or tax credits or anything like that. And so really, these plans are really built for those kinds of people. So that's bucket number two.
Jared, if you don't mind, just really hitting on again on pre-X, it doesn't mean if you still qualify and maybe you've had a pre-existing condition in the past, that kind of second to last bullet point touches on once you've been on the plan for 24 months, that pre-existing condition is still covered. So there are solutions in this space, even if you are worried about a minor non-chronic condition.
Right. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Luke. Yeah, there's waiting periods at the beginning. And really what they're trying to protect from are, yeah, maybe some more serious pre-existing conditions. If you're just managing high blood pressure or high cholesterol with a medication, things like that. That is not going to knock you out from qualifying for a plan like this, right? They're focused primarily on cancer, heart attack, strokes, kidney disease, some of those larger things. So yes, thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to an association-based health plan. This is bucket number three. Like I said, this does not exist for every single person out there. It is specific for people who are association members, like RGEA. And so here's how these ones work. They also have a PPO network, and so you're going to be able to have nationwide coverage whenever you travel. They do have coverage for pre-existing conditions here. This is a little bit of a combination or a mix between bucket one and bucket two. It's going to have what is called simplified issue underwriting questions. It's not going to ask as many underwriting questions, maybe as bucket two, but it's not going to ask zero health questions, right? As bucket one would. And so it is simplified issue, meaning as long as you don't currently have cancer, that's really the only thing that they're worried about. If you currently have cancer and you're currently undergoing treatments, the best option for you is going to be the Affordable Care Act, ACA. Outside of that, this option is going to be available to you. And so almost anybody can qualify. It's going to work just like, very similarly to group-based health insurance plans through an employer. So it's going to have a PPO network. It's going to have very competitive rates. And they do have HSA eligible plans. So these ones are really, really popular specifically for association members because that's who can qualify. So they have PPO networks, all different types of deductibles, all different types of copays, right? Same thing as bucket number one. You can really customize any of these plans in these buckets. The one thing I love about this bucket that I want to mention here is that these plans are the same rate for somebody who's 18 and somebody who is 63. And so where we see most of the enrollment here is people in their 50s or their 60s. There's not a lot of 18-year-olds that are out there looking for their own insurance like this who need a plan maybe as robust as this. So a lot of the 18-year-olds, maybe they're going on bucket one or bucket two. But if you're in your 50s or your 60s, you get the same rate as an 18-year-old. It's a really competitive rate. And so this could be a really good option for somebody like that. So these are the main and the three buckets. There's no other plans that exist outside of this. These are the three buckets. If you have a conversation with us, or if you have a conversation with any other insurance agent who's out there trying to help people enroll in a plan and they're under 65, these are going to be the options that they present. It's either an Affordable Care Act plan that's out there, it's either a short-term medical or health sharing plan that's out there, and it's an association-based plan. Those are the three specific options. And so now what I want to do is now I want to talk through, okay, what does this practically look like? Give me an example. So here's a profile. Here's an example, and maybe somebody on the webinar falls into this. And so here's a profile of an early retired school administrator, right? Somebody who was a principal, superintendent, but they're not 65 yet, right? They worked 30 years in the school district. They've always had health insurance through the school district. They've never known anything different, just like my Aunt Sherry. Okay, this is an exact option for her, the exact same thing. Well, when they retired, they had an option and they could go on the state retiree health plan or they could take Cobra. And those options are kind of bleak, looking at anywhere between $1,200 to $1,900 a month, depending on what deductible they selected, things like that. And here's what we can do. Here's where Apollo steps in, is walking them through, hey, you don't hit Medicare for another 2 or 3 or 4 years. You can keep paying $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 a month if you really, really want to. But let's have a conversation about these other options that exist. So think about, retired, maybe you're claiming school retirement, or maybe there's still a pension available and your income is pretty set, right? It's pretty specific income. Maybe it's $42,000 a year, $58,000 a year, $61,000 a year, but it's very controllable. You know what it's going to be. Well, let's shop around and see what the advanced premium tax credits are for you. Are they available in your zip code? If they're not, maybe we'll look at option 2 or option 3. But if there's $500 or $600 or $700 a month worth of tax credit out there on bucket number 1 for you to take advantage of, let's take advantage of that. And let's have a conversation about, hey, what kinds of medications are you taking? Who are your doctors? What's your health system? Who are your doctors that we want to make sure that we keep in network, that you can continue to see, that continuation of care? Nobody wants to have to go switch their doctors. And let's find a way to bridge you from where you're at now all the way to Medicare. Because really, that's what we hear all the time, is that some people, they're terrified to retire early. But what am I going to do about health insurance? The cost is so high. How am I going to bridge to Medicare? I can't retire before I'm 65. I can't do that. What would I do about my insurance? And those are the kinds of people that we are talking to literally every single day. My parents are an exact example of that. My dad retired well before he was 65, retired at 58. I've worked in insurance for the last 8 years. I vividly remember his own son does this and him saying, I'm terrified to know what's out there. What am I going to do about our insurance? I'm like, Dad, I've got you. I've got you. And he made that decision. And I would say 5 years later, he's still thinking that was an amazing decision. There are absolutely options out there for somebody who retires early before 65. Here's another one. Let's look at the split age household, police officer and a younger spouse. And so maybe the retired police officer, they're on Medicare. But there's a spouse in the house that is still under 65. The spouse is 7 years younger. Spouse is 5 years younger, 4 years younger. And so his health insurance, it's taken care of. He's on Medicare, or maybe the he still has a great option through retirement that he's able to take advantage of from the police. Maybe that's the situation for him personally, but what's he going to do about his wife, or what is she going to do about her husband? Well, that's exactly where we would come in. And so now he has, or she has, this decision of, oh, I don't know what I should do. Do I just blindly add my spouse on to our retirement plan, even though it bumps it by $1,000 a month? Should I give her an option to take Cobra, which is also $1,000 a month? What do I do? There's uncertainty there. I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to. This is what we do, again, every single day. There was actually 3 questions before this webinar submitted on this specific topic right here. Hey, my spouse, my wife is 62. My husband is 59. People asking this question every single day. Hey, I'm already on Medicare, or I have a really good setup for me. But when I go to add my spouse to my current setup, it jumps the price like crazy. Or you can't add a spouse onto Medicare. Everybody has to have their own specific Medicare plan. So what do we do? These are the kinds of people that we're having a conversation about. Let's talk specifically about the spouse, the husband or the wife. How do we personalize their health insurance plan with the way that they use it? How often are they going to the doctor? What prescriptions are they taking? And how can we help minimize that cost down from $1,000 or $1,500 a month down to $300 or $500 or $700, whatever fits in the budget for the family. And maybe this is where you are at right now as well. You're the split age. We want to be able to provide support for your spouse who's not on Medicare yet. Let's talk about this one. Maybe it's a firefighter. He's retired, but he's still working part-time. He's working part-time employee, no health insurance offered, not a full-time employee, and he just picks up some work here and there. He doesn't want to mess up anything. He's uneasy about the tax credits, doesn't know how the application works. Maybe somebody misled him in the past. He doesn't know how to report his income. How does it work with my pension and my part-time income? How do those marry together? What about the income I'm taking from a retirement account? How does that work? I don't expect anybody to know all the answers for how that works and integrates with the marketplace and the IRS. Those are hard questions. And so those are the exact reasons that our advisors are having conversations with people is, hey, we can advise people on how that works. Yeah, this is taxable income. We have to put this here on line 11 on the adjusted gross income. Oh, here, right here, this is not. Don't have to claim that. That doesn't hit your tax return the same way. And so what are we able to do? Hey, we can recommend a stable plan and we can adapt with income changes. One year, we might put one specific income. Another year, we might put another. We're here to do the white glove service, but also to have a long-lasting relationship with people to where we're not just helping you out one time. We're not just helping you enroll one time and never touching it again. Every single year when we go to renew, we're going to ask for updates. Hey, are you still working that part-time job? Is the income still the same? How does it look for you next year? Are you still seeing the same doctors? Any questions or changes on prescriptions? Those kinds of things. And so what we really want to do is we really want to be a year-round advisor, and we're able to quickly pivot whenever somebody has changes. Hey, Jared, I'm no longer working that part-time job. I'm just taking my pension. My income will probably be $15,000 less this year. Awesome. Let's log in and update that on your application immediately so we can start to take more advantage of more tax credits that are out there for us. And so maybe this is you. Maybe you're retired picking up some part-time work still and not getting benefits offered to you. Could be you. Let's talk about a real life example then of one of those exact profiles that I just talked about. This is going back to profile number 2. We got the split age couple. This is just in the last month. I pulled this exact example from a phone call that we had in October. And so before interacting with Apollo, the premium that the wife was about to pay was $1,000 per month. Husband had a different option, didn't have to help with health insurance there, and they're worried about losing access to the doctor, specifically on Cobra. They know that Cobra, $1,000 is a ton. That's a lot. And Cobra, all Cobra is just the extension of your current group or employer-based health insurance plan. You get to take it for a specific amount of time afterwards if you'd like to. And so the wife knew, hey, the continuation of care would be simple. I know I can keep seeing my doctors because it's the same health insurance plan. I know what the deductible is. I know what the copays are. It's comfortable. I'm used to it. And so her biggest complaint was, yeah, I know it's really expensive. I know 1,000 is a lot, but I also know that I can keep seeing my doctor and I have the comfort of the plan working the way that I thought it would. Well, the husband and the wife both had a phone call with one of our advisors. We walked them through exactly what I just walked through here, the 3 buckets of insurance. And it turns out that bucket number 1, the ACA, was going to be their most cost-effective and affordable option. You can see here, by moving the wife onto an ACA plan, her premium went from $1,000 a month to $234 a month, saving over $750 a month. And she got to keep her same doctors. We made sure that all of her prescriptions were still on the formulary. And now they also have a clear path as they transition off of Cobra and are going to go on to Medicare at some point in the future. You know, that's the thing about Cobra, is it's not a long-term solution, right? She can't keep this the entire time until they hit Cobra. She was going to have to make a decision at some point. Well, now she got to keep her doctors. We verified the prescriptions are still on the formulary. She's feeling good there. She knows the copays that she's going to have, and she has a set-aside plan moving forward until she does hit Medicare that she knows, okay, I can trust this. Oh, and by the way, they're saving almost $10,000 a year by making this kind of switch. I mean, that's a massive amount of savings. And so this is just a real-life example of, hey, we got another wife here who's 63, not eligible for Medicare. And what do? How do we help this person? These are the exact conversations that we're having every single day. And so here's a real life example of somebody that maybe needs a conversation like that on this webinar. Here's another one. This is another one we had last month as well. And it's a retired high school teacher. And they had access in their state to stay on the district retiree health plan. You can keep it all the way until you're age 65. The company that my dad worked for, very similar benefit. You could stay on their plan if you wanted to all the way to 65. Now, there's no contribution from his company in here. Hey, no contribution from the district any longer, but you still have access to the plan. If you want to continue to pay the premium, it's one of the benefits that the district offers. We want to make sure that you are eligible to stay on that plan. You don't have to get off, those kinds of things. Well, the premium was $875 per month, and it was going up every single year. This was not this person's first time enrolling in this plan. This person had already been on this plan, had been retired for a little bit, and had been using these retiree benefits in this specific plan already. Well, they reached out to Apollo and just wanted to see what their options were. Felt a little locked in. Hey, I've been doing this for a while, and also I'm worried if I ever leave this, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me if I ever leave this plan, or if I do something else? I've watched all the news, I've read all the articles. I'm terrified of what's out there. Well, again, as we were looking through something that was a set income, specific retirement, it turns out that this person was eligible to qualify for tax credits that they had no idea that were even available to them. We were able to drop their premium down to $450 a month, almost cutting their premium completely in half. It was $875. If it was $900, we would have cut it in half. Almost cut it completely in half. And $5,000 a year in savings, which just so happens to be the deductible that this person was on. And so we saved this person's entire yearly deductible just in premium cost right there alone. Well, now, if they have some type of emergency or something big that's happened and they need to go actually hit their deductible and pay those larger bills, well, now they know, hey, we've got some money saved. I'm saving almost $500 a month, almost $400 a month just on the insurance alone. Now I get to put that money aside to help offset some of my expenses moving forward. And so maybe this is somebody on this webinar. Hey, I've been on the same retiree plan for the last 2, 3, 4 years. I still have a couple years to Medicare. I'm comfortable here. I know how it works. I feel good about it. But man, the rate increase, it just keeps going up. 5% increase one time is not that big of a deal. But when it increases 5% every single year for 5 years, it's a 25% increase over the last 5 years. That's sizable. And so maybe there's somebody on this webinar who's doing something just like this who needs to have a conversation. And that's really where I want to go now is, okay, Jared, you just rattled off a ton of information, a plethora of information. You told us about bucket number 1 in the Affordable Care Act. You told us about bucket number 2 with a short-term medical plan and a sharing plan. You told us about bucket number 3, which is association plans, and even specifically for RGEA members. You told us that we can customize plans with different copays and deductibles. You told us that we have some plans that cover all pre-existing conditions, some plans that have a waiting period for pre-existing conditions, some plans that are HSA eligible, some plans that have a PPO network and travel with us. You told me about all of these different options. You walked me through, hey, we help people like this. We help the spouse who's under 65. We help the early retiree. I mean, there's all types of information that you just threw at us. So where do I go from here? What do I do now? Well, there's a couple things. The first thing right there is a phone number, 919-420-3213. And we have a specific amount of advisors who all day long, they're committed to relationships like this, different associations that we get to help make decisions on health insurance and just have a consultative conversation in a meeting on tell us how do you use your health insurance? What's your biggest pain point? What do you want to change? One of my favorite questions is if you had a magic wand and you could wave it over your health insurance plan, what's the first thing that you'd wish for? Our advisors are ready to have those kinds of conversations. Make a phone call right there, and I promise you, somebody will answer, and they'll be ready to have a conversation, and they'll know all about RGEA specifically. They'll know about this webinar today. They'll know that we're talking to you all today. They'll know that we've already helped out multiple other RGEA members take advantage of savings with health insurance. Or you can scan that QR code there, and it'll take you directly to the landing page that we have set up with RGEA and Apollo combined. And so myself, Luke, Daryl, Tim, the rest of the RGEA team, we've done a lot of work trying to set up a landing page for you all to have access to where if you want to go do your own research, you want to go look around for yourself, maybe you have some questions that you want to ask yourself before you even talk to an advisor, you can get access to that stuff today, right now, through that QR code right there. There's different blurbs about the ACA and health shares and short term and association. Everything that you want to know about even this webinar, the things we talked about, is on that landing page. And then after you've done your own research, you've looked around, you've read up a little bit, then you can book a meeting right there with one of our advisors. Or you can call the phone number right there as well. And so those are the best next steps that I can think of here is that schedule a call, schedule a consultation, make a phone call, and just have Apollo do all the comparing for you. And we would love to do that today. Luke, I think you have something you want to share.
Yeah, I got a couple questions that have come in. I've tried to keep up with them and answer them as quickly as possible, but a lot of people, it seems like, are interested in hearing a little bit more about the association plan, or if you have some additional questions around the association plan, feel free to
Sure.
ask. Such as somebody asked if it is available in North Carolina. It absolutely is available. Another thing that I think is a common misconception for brokers is how, and it was a great question. I don't remember who had asked it, but how do we get paid? Paula had asked how we get paid. Uh,
Oh,
and so, Jared, I don't know if you want to provide an additional answer for everybody to see that's maybe not able to see the question in the Q&A.
sure. Yeah, I love that question. Thank you for asking that. We, as a brokerage, are paid directly from the carriers. No consumer has ever paid Apollo $1 in the history of Apollo. And we are paid directly from the carriers. And since we have a contract with every single carrier that exists, we truly are unbiased. And so we are able to make money and be able to run our business on any carrier that you all select. If you need and want Blue Cross and Blue Shield in North Carolina, guess what? They pay us. We'll gladly help you enroll in that plan. If you need Aetna, if you need Cigna, we have all of these different contracts that we're able to help people with, and they pay us directly. And so we truly are unbiased in that. We can sell literally any plan that exists in your zip code. That
Yep, it does. There's one more question on here that I think would be great for those that, again, can't see the Q&A, that goes back to really the first slide or the second slide of about who Apollo is and who we are to our core.
Sure.
They said that they are currently enrolled into an ACA plan with United Healthcare, and they have 2 claims that have been denied. Do we help with the appeal process with the insurance company? And I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
You don't have to battle those those claims by yourself anymore. That's why Apollo exists. If you can see in that bottom paragraph, we help with ID cards. We have a dedicated claims team. A broker's not required to help with claims, but the reality is there are claim issues no matter what carrier you go with, whether you go bucket 1, bucket 2, or bucket 3. And so what we've done is we've invested into a claim support team that we get the HIPAA authorization form, signed and filed on your behalf, where we can go and work with the facilities, the carrier, the doctor office, and we're now fighting alongside of you. It's kind of a lot like I picture a boardroom. My dad had always said this. It's like a boardroom where we're all consumers of healthcare. And all these insurance companies are on the opposite side of the table of that boardroom. And it's just you as a consumer, it's just you. And there's 20 of them that are across there. And you feel like you're battling in health insurance by yourself. What we want to try and help our clients understand is we're now alongside, we're in that same boardroom, but we're sitting right next to you and you're no longer doing the battle by yourself. So that would be a perfect example where we come alongside more than just helping with enrollment, more than just helping with finding the right solution. And so I just wanted to provide that answer for everybody to be able to hear that.
Yeah, really good. Yes, Daryl.
Yes, there's one question, and maybe Tim, it might be for you, but I think it might be important for the folks on the call. Bob is asked, RGA website has a lot of info about supplemental insurance, but not group health. Where is the information on the type of association insurance being discussed today?
Perfect.
I thought that might be something you might want to
Sure.
answer.
Any moment I was just in between this, I saw that come through. We've
Okay.
reached out to our website support firm, and they are going to be working on that. So any moment. So this came down pretty quick. And it's not a bad backstory on how we got here. So quite honestly, we never planned to go into the healthcare space. And we did this out of the need, realizing that there's a lot of changing variables. And some folks, what I become concerned about was folks were going to make a decision and possibly not get any coverage at all because they couldn't find an affordable solution. So what I appreciate about Apollo is they have such a broad options of ways to ensure and protect your your health and your the nest egg you worked on. So that's why we're here. But it should go up any moment. I just reached out to them, but this all came down. Gosh, Luke, I'm not sure when we. It was about a
Yeah.
week before November 1. I was like, this isn't going the way I think everybody thought it was, and I want to make sure our members have some help.
For sure. No, absolutely. I provided the landing page link and a couple of the question and answers. So if you guys want to do that, or I can provide the link in the chat as well, to get to the landing page that ties you with RGEA. A couple of great questions. Somebody had asked, is the association relationship just one linking to the brokerage? Do other brokers have access to the same North Carolina plans? That's the value in the relationship that you all as members of RGA have. You guys are getting access to some additional options that not every consumer in North Carolina can also have the same access to. And the relationship with Apollo helping bring those solutions, cutting edge solutions to you all. So not everybody would have that access, but you guys do. Jared, you want to take this one instead of me typing out a long-winded answer? I know we're running close on time, but I want to try and get all the questions answered. So if there's anything else that you guys want to ask and pepper us, we're here for you. How are prescriptions handled with health insurance, Jared? This is a very big one and something that I think a lot of people are wanting to make sure coverage is made for. So
That's a great question. It's an amazing question. Pharmaceuticals and prescriptions are the number one hot topic in health insurance right now. Health insurance carriers hate prescriptions. They hate how much it costs, right? This is why a guy like Mark Cuban starts a company like Cost Plus Drugs because of how high the markup is on RX and prescriptions. Here's the number one thing I'll say about prescriptions in general. That's why we check every single formulary on every single carrier to know exactly how it's billed out and tiered. Is it a tier 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And those are all really important questions. Tier 1 and tier 2 are both generic. Tier 3 and tier 4 are brand, preferred brand or non-preferred. And then tier 5 is specialty. If you're on a specialty medication, that's where we're going to want to reach out to different organizations outside of just your health insurance carrier to go get help for that. There's all different kinds of companies that exist. Some of them are state funded, some of them are private funded. It really just depends. Apollo's the one who has the relationships with those different people, though, to be able to go and say, oh, you need access to Humira, which is $6,000 a month, and it's not on any formulary in your zip code. What do we go do? Well, Apollo has 4 or 5 different options that we can go find to get Humira from $6,000 a month down to $60 a month. And it's not just something you're going to go find on Google, right? These are like very specific and niche vendors that we have access to. And so prescriptions is a great question. The answer is that it's not handled the same for every single person. It's always case by case. Because some people are taking just generic prescriptions and some people are taking just brand prescriptions and some people have some specialty medications. So it really does depend case by case.
perfect. I've got one more question that we'll wrap up with, Daryl, if that's okay with you. Last one,
Yes.
and then we want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know that we have 2 minutes left. Somebody asked that their scheduled Cobra end date is April 1st, 2026. When should they start coverage so that it is in place for April 1st? Couple of things there. A lot of people that when you go on to Cobra, the one thing that I would say is a negative. One, it's a great plan. However, the negative is you have a known termination date. Now the person asked us, I have no clue about your health history. I have no clue if you have a pre-existing condition. However, if something were to happen in the next 4 months, where God forbid you were to have a heart attack, or if you were to have a diagnosis, you then limit the amount of options that you have available to you. Knowing that your coverage ends April 1st, I would recommend if you are healthy right now to go look at all the plethora of options available to you and not limit yourself to only one bucket of plans if something were to happen over the next 6 months. So that would be my recommendation as a broker in those instances, because that comes up quite a bit.
Right.
All right.
Awesome.
Listen, thank you. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Luke. We are so happy that you were able to do this for us today. And as you can see, there are plenty of questions. So what I'm going to suggest, if you have the notes about some of these questions, if you have links, send them to us And we'll get them out when we send out the follow-up email, where there's also a survey link for folks who are on the call and those who missed the call as well to fill out. So that may help some to find the information that they need to find as of today's presentation. So if you have anything you can share other than what we have right now, that would be great. Um, and so I just want to remind everyone not to forget to complete the survey. We need that survey by Monday. And then our next Lunch and Learn webinar is next week, Wednesday at 12:30. Andrea Henry rather, from Brookdale Senior Living, which is one of our sponsors, will talk about how you can stay fit during the holidays and beyond. And this webinar is backed by popular demand. It was very popular last year. So we're looking forward to everyone staying fit year round. And so make sure you register for this one. Jared and Luke, once again, I want to just thank you so much for being here this afternoon and answering these questions. And with that, I guess this concludes our webinar. Everyone, have a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day outside. Thank you so very much. And just we always stand ready to help you. And happy Wednesday.
Thank you guys. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
everyone.
Right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Luke. Thanks, Jared.